So in the last video I made about my Ryzen Unraid server, I sort of lied to you guys and said that Unraid does require a graphics card, and that's not true. The only time Unraid requires a graphics card is if you plan on actually booting into the operating system and accessing the GUI interface that Unraid now provides. If you don't plan on using that and only accessing Unraid through the web UI, you do not need that graphics card. The only reason why you might want a graphics card or consider a motherboard that has an onboard graphics processor is if you need to troubleshoot with the system BIOS for any reason to change settings, like if you plan on doing overclocking, or maybe it's something as simple as doing hardware transcoding within Plex, if that's more your thing. Aside from those two reasons, it's not required at all. And there's also things like virtualization and all that such, but we're not going to get on those details. Now, this is the unique opportunity because thanks to Austin Bowers, who pointed this out to me, by the way, I did want to show you why I highly recommend always using a SAS card instead of the onboard SATA ports. So let's take a quick look at that and we'll kind of see exactly what I mean. Okay, so if we're looking here in the Unraid dashboard, we can see that I've accumulated 21 errors. And so what I've noticed is that this typically happens fairly often when you don't use a SAS card and are using the onboard SATA ports that comes with most of the motherboards. Now, I don't know if this is very common or not. I can't really speak to that. I'm not sure what the root cause of this is. Now, I made a video a long time ago that talks a little bit about this and a blog post that talks about this a little bit, and the problem was specifically with the Marvell controllers. So basically all we're going to do is just rip out this SAS card that I've been using for a long time now. I'll drop a link in the video description below if you would like one of my most highly recommended SAS cards for Unraid or using with Unraid, and that is this one right here. So this is just a LSI 9211-8i. Nothing too fancy, but it does get the job done for everything I need, and it's got the SAS ports here, which can break out into 4 SATA ports, I believe, each. I think this card can support more than 8 drives. I'm not entirely sure, but I've only been using it for about 8 drives for a while now, and that's really all I need at this point in time. So we're going to take this bad boy and stick it into the other server now that we got that, and then I hate to say it, but we're going to have to move to onboard SATA ports with this. All right, and so just a little bit of a spoiler for you guys out there. So this server is going to be my new test server, and Space Invader and I are working on a video specifically with this server that will be coming soon. I'm not sure how soon. Our timeline has changed a little bit, mostly because of all the stuff going on with the coronavirus, but we're working on that, and there will be another video about this specific server and what we'll use it for in the future, as well as a whole bunch of other details. So spoiler there, hate to tease, but I will be working on it. Unfortunately, I still have to go back to work pretty much every day, so I don't really have any free time. But let's go ahead and get this thing moved out of the way and put that SAS card into the Unraid Ryzen build that I'm actually using. And let's check out a couple other details with that more specifically. All right, so before we can do anything, I got to shut down the other server so we can go unmount it. And I've already done a parity sync, so just because we saw those 21 errors, whatever it was, we don't actually have to worry about losing any data or things getting out of sync. So I'm going to go ahead and shut her down, and then we're going to grab it. All right, so we're going to dereact the server, but I want to show you guys something real quick. So I actually have a thermometer in here that tells us the temperature of this room. And so it's sitting at about 80 degrees, 81 at times. And right now it's pretty warm outside. If I had to guess, it's probably like between 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit, but I don't know because I haven't checked. And that's one of the reasons why we went from those dual Xeons to the AMD Ryzen server, or the Ryzen 3700X. And that was really important because those things put out so much damn heat. There's no way this room could have handled that. So anyway. All right, so let's go ahead and crack this bad boy open and get the GPU removed so we can put in our SAS card. Now, in the bottom here is where I put the P600, and it may not matter. I don't think it will. So this bottom slot is actually a PCI Gen 2 slot, which is which should be fine because this is actually a PCI Gen 2 daughter card. So it should be fine to sit here and support all my drives perfectly fine, like it has in the past. And I don't really have a lot of drives anyway, so I don't think we're going to be overtaxing the I/O. All right, now we just got to get all of these things removed so we can plug in our SAS expander, or breakout cables, I mean to say, and we should be golden. All right, so I kind of made a mistake and had to move things around. Come in, check this out. So basically what happened was my 10 gig card that's here, I had to move or actually switch the LSI card and the 10 gig card because these cables here weren't long enough, but now they are. And so if you have a similar build to mine, keep that in mind because that's important. Now, does the placement matter? No, not really. And the reason why is because here, this is a PCI Gen 3 slot, and this is never going to use that full bandwidth, and neither would the 10 gig card. Neither one of those will use the full bandwidth of that LAN, or even the PCI 2.0 LAN, as far as I know anyway. So yeah, now we're just going to get all the stuff plugged in, and we should be solid. All right, now all we have to do is get this thing racked back up, and we should be good to go from here. There's literally nothing that we need to do with Unraid. It should automatically discover all the drives and put them in the right order. That's the important part. My jeans are literally ripping. Yep, just ripped my jeans right open. Okay, so we ripped out the GPU, and it looks like Unraid managed to boot up, and it's been already about 2 minutes since it's booted up. So it's been here for a while, and you know, even switching around the PCI slots, we can see that it still identified all the drives and also the NVMe cache and all that good jazz. So we're just going to immediately start up. We don't need to verify cache, or I'm sorry, not verify cache. We don't need to verify or parity or anything like that, because again, I did all that already, and I'm literally not worried about losing any data at this point anyway, because I haven't made any changes to my array, I haven't added anything or nothing like that. And it looks like it started up immediately. We probably won't see any errors, but I was really hoping that in a future video, had we kept the Ryzen server without the SAS card, I was really hoping to show you guys just how many errors can actually pile up when you don't use an LSI card or something more professional than the onboard SATA ports. Now, that's probably not a systemic problem across all boards. It may be very specific boards, and that may have something to do with ECC. I'm not entirely sure, and I'm not entirely sure what the errors is representative of. I don't know if those are write errors, read errors, or bit errors. Maybe some things writing and it's supposed to be stored in RAM, but then there's a bit flip. It's really hard to say. But in the past, when I've been using that LSI card, there's never any errors at all, ever. So again, not really sure what the problem there is. Maybe one of you guys know and would like to tell me or point me in the right direction. But yeah, so as you can tell, the server's booted up. There's no graphics card in it at all. The 3700 doesn't have onboard graphics. It's not an APU. The ASUS motherboard doesn't have a second chip, like an ASMedia chip on board to do any VGA graphics like a server board typically would. And the Quadra's been ripped out. In fact, here it is in my hands right here as further proof. So yeah, I guess this build is now officially done. And again, we're probably not going to do any GPU rendering because the 3700X is perfectly fine for me because it's just me and my family that uses that server. So we don't really need anything fancy anyway for that. And yeah, I don't really know what is left to say for this video. Thanks again to Austin Bauer, or I think you said your name was. I actually forget now because it's been a minute. But thanks again for pointing that out. I really do appreciate you dropping the comment for me. And if you guys see me ever make any mistakes, let me know. Especially if it's something critical like that, because that's a video where there should be a lot more importance on the things I say, because I think a lot of people might watch that, and I don't want to lead anybody astray. So anyway, I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.